Welcome to the Make a Baby podcast. I'm Carolina Sotomayor, your podcast host and expert Reiki womb healer. Over the past 6 years, I've had the honor of helping over 75 babies come into the world through the power of Reiki. I believe that healing is not meant to be done alone, nor should it be. On this podcast, you'll hear amazing Reiki guided meditations, empowering healing tips, and taboo topics with a focus on inclusivity and representation. Are you ready for these conversations? I am. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Make a Baby podcast. This is episode 88, and boy, has it been a week. This episode is being recorded at 12:30 a.m. Saturday morning, July 15th. So it has been a wild week and a pretty tough one too. And I want to talk about a theme I am seeing in my DMs. I get quite a few DMs every day. And the topic that we're going to talk about today on episode 88 is, do you know yourself well enough to conceive? And I think this is really important. I'm a human design projector, so I see patterns. I see big picture. I see how things are connected. I think it's important that we do speak about it. I think it's important that we break silence, especially in a lot of fertility spaces and online community. Everything is kind of hush hush or suffer in silence, and then you're doing a good job if you're quiet about your pain. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to break those tendencies, and it's to break the silence so that we are creating a very healthy, thriving fertility community all the way through postpartum. So I want to start with, do you know yourself well enough to conceive? Well, technically, you don't need to know yourself to get pregnant, because heck, people get pregnant all the time. But do you know what you want in fertility? And then the DMs that I'm getting when we're talking and I'm looking to see if I'm a good fit for them, or if they're a good fit for the program, or what recommendation I can give them for their healing journey, I'm realizing through this whole week, a lot of women don't know themselves well. They're going through the motions, and I say, okay, but they are not able to tell me what they're envisioning, what they need, and what they want. And sometimes we can figure that out together, especially like, okay, but if you don't know what you want, I can't help you. So for you, do you know yourself? Do you know your tendencies? Do you know your strengths? Do you know what your preferences are? What type of closeness do you like? What is your love language? What are your pet peeves? It's really important to know those things. Now, this is not going to be related to your occupation and what you do for a living or anything to do with your salary. I want you to know yourself on a soul level. This is what we're talking about. So, what are some things you need to improve on? Do you know what you want in your fertility journey? Do you know how you want your pregnancy to go? Do you know how you want your postpartum to go? I think these questions are really important, because if you're struggling to conceive, when you finally do conceive, it's going to be a really tough transition of like, oh, I'm finally pregnant. Now what do I do? And then we spend your whole pregnancy scared or not, this is such a surreal experience. Then birth creeps up real fast. You're having a good time, time flies. And then the window of preparing for birth has gotten very short, or exploring what birth options can be, or knowing what is possible in a birth, or what is possible for your postpartum. Other things are, what do you want to pass on to baby? What don't you want to pass on to baby? What are some parenting styles that you may want to be doing? What are some goals that you have during your fertility? What are some goals that you have during your pregnancy? And knowing yourself and knowing and exploring, like being confident and feeling safe enough to ask more. And how can I improve this experience? How can I make this a positive experience? Goes down to you feeling safe enough to want more or to explore more. And person sent me a DM and she says, I want to conceive a baby with Reiki. And I said, great. And I start sending voice notes and asking, okay, what are you struggling with? What are you looking to have? What's your vision here? I am not a magic genie. I am a womb healer. And what that means is I'm really great at helping you heal emotional pain or trauma that's stuck in your physical body, particularly your womb. This person wanted more time with her husband because apparently he works far away in order to conceive. And I said, but do you have anything that you need help healing? Do you have PCOS? Have you had any losses? Any of these things? And she said, no, I'm perfect. I'm fine. But I need more time with my husband. And I said, that's outside the scope of my healing. I cannot help with logistics and time schedules of adults that I do not know. So I think that's really important to understand is that if you don't know yourself, then you can't know what you want. And then you can't ask for the help that you may need. And knowing yourself is like the very first step of becoming self-aware. That is the exact thing that I'm seeing with women that I'm encountering is there's a lack of a self-awareness. If there is not an awareness of like almost like a pulse, like what's going on in my world, what's going on with me, how am I feeling, where did this come from, and just like a real ownership of your energy and accepting yourself. I have a dear friend, her name is Libby, and she's been teaching me how confidence is a total sham, that every woman and every person should practice self-compassion instead of confidence. And if you had self-compassion, then all the other things will fall into place. You'll be more loving towards yourself. You'll be more self-aware. You'll be encompassed and like engulfed in all of your activities because you have compassion for oneself. I think awareness comes from intuition. It comes from seeing your life. It's feeling how your life is. What is the state of everything that's going on in your life? And I think that that's the difference between somebody who is going through the motions of life and someone who's actively living life. And that's not to shame anyone, but it is an observation that I am seeing. And I think it's just a primal want to want to have a baby. But through any activity, whether you're going for a job, buying a house, creating a family, heck, we're getting a third dog. What is the why behind it all? What is the feeling behind it? And that has to come from your soul. It has to come from a knowing. That has to come from an awareness of you. Now, for all of it to mean something, for it to connect from one part to another of your life, it is quite possible you could say, this is total hogwash, and say no and not do any of these things and still have babies and still have a happy life. But we're in the 5D era now. We're not one-dimensional beings. And you deserve more. You deserve positive fertility experiences. You deserve a positive pregnancy. Heck, you deserve a peaceful, restful postpartum. It doesn't have to be chaos. It doesn't have to be dark and confusing in postpartum. You deserve to know what you are going to be intentional about in teaching your children. Because guess what? All of this means you're in charge. You're in charge. All of this is for you. This life is for you. So the reason why I'm sharing this is that as a healer, I can help you. I can serve you. But it is not magic. We're doing the work together. I'm holding space for you. And the work that I do, I don't give you a baby. I just help you transform your energy in order to receive the miracle that's already destined for you and that you've chosen to bring into your life. And that might be through a combination of IUI or IVF and Reiki or maybe you're doing Clomid, or maybe you're doing natural. Heck, maybe you're even doing a surrogate. But life is going to happen. You have a choice to be living in it or let it pass you by. And if you're going to be living in it, it's because you're going to also be knowing yourself and having self-awareness so that you know and can communicate, this is what I need help with. Or I'm struggling, or at least be able to communicate, I don't know exactly what is wrong, but I know this is off. And I want this. This is the outcome I want. And that really can make the difference between someone that is successful in my programs and not, and a person that I can work with and not. And also the openness to want to heal is really critical as well. And even myself, I'm not open every day to heal. Some days, I run 2 companies. Some days I'm like, nope, I do Reiki on certain days and I have my mindset and I have cleansed my energy and I can hold space. Other days I'm wearing a different hat and I'm running social media accounts and things like that in my other company. But the openness to heal and knowing yourself is a secret sauce. And when you're open to heal and you know what the outcome you want and what kind of things you want to invite in because you know your preferences and you've allowed yourself to dream and you have enough compassion to lend yourself to go further and further into what you want to quantum leap to. That's beautiful. That is really where I see the most success in my clients. Those attributes, those 3 things: the willingness to heal, self-awareness, and a minimum knowledge of what they're wanting as the outcome or what they're needing. And then we figure out the vice versa, what it is, what they don't know. So I hope that you have a lovely weekend. I hope that you like this episode. It's a very short one. Next week, actually for the next 5 or 6 episodes, we're going to be releasing all of our guest episodes that we have recorded under the new Make a Baby brand. And it's exciting because there is some exciting people that are coming on. Is Anne Devell. She's a empowered pregnancy and birth mentor. She is really popular on TikTok. She's like 60,000 followers on TikTok. So it's super exciting to have her on. We're going to hear from one of my favorite clients I've ever had, Gabby. She's coming on talking about how Reiki impacted her from preconception all the way through motherhood. We're going to have Amy Murray, who's all of these people are really special, but she's really, really special. She's from the Midwest. She's from Missouri. She's going to talk about our menstrual cycle in great detail, even including the fluids, like what you need to know about every phase. And I have never heard anyone explain our menstrual cycle in such a simple, easy way so you can easily understand exactly what your body is doing and when to anticipate. We also have this really wonderful woman, Christiane, talking about postnatal depletion. And it's a very powerful episode. I learned a lot in it. And you might laugh because I say shut up too many times. I'm like shocked and I'm working on it. So I hope you enjoy the upcoming weeks. We're going to be releasing more timely on Tuesdays and Fridays. And if anything this week has taught me, give yourself grace. Please forgive me for having this delayed by a day, but you can understand that sometimes stuff happens and juggling a lot. And it's okay if the podcast is a day late. It's not my regular style, but consistency is important, and done is better than never, and done is better than not posting. So here I am delivering you the podcast, maybe in a raw, off the cuff kind of way, but I want to share that is that life happens, but it's important to have that self-awareness so that you can give yourself grace, forgiveness, and also give yourself a little bit more elasticity so that, okay, maybe it's not possible today, but I'll do it tomorrow, and that's still going to be okay. So everything's going to be okay, my friends. Let the Reiki flow, and I'll see you next week. Welcome to the Make a Baby podcast. I'm Carolina Sotomayor, your podcast host and expert Reiki womb healer. Over the past 6 years, I've had the honor of helping over 75 babies come into the world through the power of Reiki. I believe that healing is not meant to be done alone, nor should it be. On this podcast, you'll hear amazing Reiki guided meditations, empowering healing tips, and taboo topics with a focus on inclusivity and representation. Are you ready for these conversations? I am. Let's get started. Feeling hopeless in your fertility journey, fearful that you'll never become pregnant? The Make a Baby membership was created just for you, using the exact methods of Reiki that helped me conceive my son. We've helped over 75 babies come into this world by removing blockages from the womb and body with our powerful Reiki techniques. Visit carolinasotomayor.com to join the Make a Baby membership today.